Call the committee of the whole meeting to order. The clerk call the roll, please. Still here.
Here now.
Here.
I'm here.
Here.
Here. Approval of the minutes from the committee of the whole, August 12th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the committee as a whole from August 12th.
I'll approve. Second.
Second. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes carry. Thank you. Public comment, provide 2-minute opportunity for citizens to voice their opinions to the committee of the whole. Committee of the whole cannot respond as it may conflict with open meeting requirements. Anybody want to address us? Come on up again. All right.
Okay, you were eloquent the last time.
Yeah.
So Christopher Atkinson, 6205 Highway 31, Caledonia. I'm getting to learn, the process of Caledonia board meetings because I've not been involved in this in the past. But like I said, I've been here for 10 years. And since I've been here, my utility costs have gone up over 50%. My taxes have gone up about 30%. And a lot of that is because of the decisions that, you guys make as a whole. But it's not just me. So the decisions that you'll be making in the future, there's a threshold. The scales are way out of balance right now. And I did vote wholeheartedly to support the fire department or the police station improvements because I think Caledonia PD is fantastic. But the benefits of this project that are going to be coming up, there's not a lot of benefits here. And if you look at the impact that it's going to have on us as residents, it's not just going to be us. If this is We Energies and large data or large power consumption, it's going to be entire southeast Wisconsin. We Energies customers that are going to be paying higher utility rates and higher infrastructure costs, and the responsibility that was given to you guys is going to be putting that on everyone. So there's other data centers, Mount Pleasant, Port Washington, that have been approved. I hope in one of the upcoming meetings to present more facts and more details about what I learned about this project. I feel like I've learned a lot so far, but the impact that it's going to have is beyond financial. It's going to affect Lake Michigan. It's going to affect so many different things. And if you tune into social media, you'll see I'll be posting a lot of what seem to be inflammatory comments, but that is not the design. The design is to create awareness and to generate opposition to something that, as residents, we believe that you should strongly stand against.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else have public comment?
Good evening, Paula Pintar, 7348 Bodding Road. In a contest to this data center, it doesn't align with the village's comprehensive plan, and I see now there's an additional meeting that was just posted regarding our comprehensive plan that will be taking place tomorrow evening, so I will be here as well tomorrow evening. And as far as the data center goes, there is development that is infrastructure that's already established along the I-94 corridor. So if there is a place that is more appropriate for this than in our village backyard and in our agricultural land, I think that is a big consideration for this board to look at, because we are imposing on our lifestyle and the reputation of this community. So I think that has not been discussed enough. And again, I would like to see some facts of what are the benefits of this. I have not heard any benefits to our community, our village, with inputting this where it's proposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, we will move on to committee reports. Ms. Pierce, Planning Commission?
Yes, as it's my mic somehow. You want me just to talk loud?
Yeah.
I don't think of me as a loud voice person. Anyway, as has been mentioned, yes, the Planning Commission meeting for last night was canceled in large part because of the data transmission or the transfer on the data that we're having. There was a cancellation of the particular item on the data center. The applicant had requested that that be held over to September 29th when it will come forward. And really, that's the major things. There is the subcommittee meeting tomorrow night on the land use plan with that 11-member board commission. That's it.
I'd like you to correct that. It's not on the land use plan, it's on the comprehensive plan. They're different.
Okay. I will correct for the correct language, even though they're the same thing.
No, they're not. Thank you very much. Parks and Rec Committee, Holly?
Nothing new. We didn't have a meeting this month. We'll have something to present next month.
Mr. Rishaw, Caledonia Utility District?
Nothing new to report tonight.
Thank you, sir. Fran, visit Racine County?
We have a meeting tomorrow night, but, and as you know, Carrie Grieving was here and made a very, I thought, wonderful presentation, partly because she's so enthusiastic about what she does. But as part of that, she has asked for photographs of Caledonia. So I'm in the process of assembling some photographs to send to her.
All right, thank you, Fran. Other committees, it's for me, I have nothing to add. New business ordinance, section 337, destruction of records. Did you want to address this, Madam Clerk?
So, this came about because during, when we don't have an election in November, the clerk's office is a lot less busy than usual. So I made it my project this year to work on, organizing and overhauling all of our records. I made a lot of progress on that, but in so doing, I discovered in our ordinances, we actually have pretty different standards from the state as far as record retention. And then I also found a memo from several years ago that Tyler, our former HR manager and assistant attorney, created recommending that we adopt the state retention records. I did not know what happened with that. I couldn't find any record of any discussion on that from the meeting, so it would be my recommendation that we do adopt that. It's far more thorough than what we have in our ordinance. It just makes it a lot easier for everyone to comply with our record retention. If it's something that's much more comprehensive than we could come up with on our own, and really easy to follow. So it's just a simple ordinance change adopting the state retention records, and then there's some forms that I have to send to the Wisconsin Historical Society.
Make a motion to send ordinance or send this to the board for approval.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that motion?
Yeah, marginally, because that memo, as our clerk just noted, was from 2018. And I was on the Legislative and Licensing Committee when we had separate committees, and we were chugging our way through updating all of those ordinances. And since we switched to the Committee of the Whole, that's fallen by the wayside. So I'm not quite sure how you want to address that, but this isn't going to be the only one. As you know, there's a lot of ordinances that still refer to the town instead of the village.
You want to take that question?
Yeah, and so when we did the Muni Code and the website, and we had talked about in roughly 2 years doing a recodification of our municipal ordinances, more in line with the comprehensive plan being completed, because those will have more notably probably some zoning and entitlement areas that'll need to be updated anyways. So then we would look through probably at that point in going through all of the other levels of ordinances and correcting or updating some of those.
I'm just wondering if there's a way of recapturing, for example, this 2018 memo, which our clerk found because she was looking for that particular topic. But my hunch is that there was other work in process that when that committee was dissolved just fell by the wayside. And I wonder if there's some way to recapture it. It seems more efficient to get back to what was partially done than to just.
I think just in my OneDrive, I probably have 9 ordinances, like 9 different sections of code throughout that have been raised or discussed at certain points to update them. It's just a matter of getting through those. But typically, when I would bring an ordinance to the village board, it would go through staff level, then it goes to the village attorney to make sure what we are presenting to you is legally sound, and then it is up for the village or the committee of the whole and then village board to amend or adopt the ordinance as presented.
And trustee Martin, I did also find in my files, my clerk files, the previous clerk does have several ordinances and documents of what she had been working on. I think most of it was going through to replace town with village and things like that. So that is part of it too. And then when we go through recodification, all of that will be addressed.
And you can find that.
I
Yeah,
do
I just
have
don't want all that work to
Nope, I have it.
get lost, because obviously this did.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I have a question or a comment, because I'm looking at the schedule that Tyler had presented in 2018, and based on what you have said in the thing, it looks like it's pretty accurate. So my only real question is, if we look at the differences between our 7 years and sometimes their 1 year, 4 years, does anyone on staff or on the board have any concern with the shortening really of time frames? It's just a question. It's not a, I don't personally, when I look at this, but people who deal with this more often may have, are we all in agreement that we like the time frames that are being presented to us by the state?
Well, that's a good point, because are we talking about erasing digital files as
No.
well, or just paper
No,
files?
this
or
is paper
both?
files only.
No,
Paper
we,
files
we
only.
maintain digital files of what we have digital files of. And then it would just be paper files. I mean, we do have limited storage for paper files, so it more of a more modernization element than anything else. But, part of that digitization has a 3-step process. One is, as the clerk just mentioned, was reaching out to the Wisconsin Historical Society. You also have to have a certain level of scanner, like I think it's a high resolution to a certain specific point that you have to be able to scan a document. And then the last is you have to be able to go through, I'm drawing a blank on what catastrophe testing, where they basically kind of, similar to what we're doing right now, right, going from one server to the next, but they would ultimately make sure that file backups are what they need to be. And then that is how you can go to a pure digital style version of record keeping.
I mean, for example, I think it's a fact that that old storage building at Gorney Park is full of boxes of old records, and I have no idea what impact this has on it, or if we're just going to burn it and pretend it wasn't there or what. But I mean, they are records, and we need to do something. And I think the ceiling is leaking. I'm just wondering what our posture is on that.
Madam Clerk,
Yeah, so as I'm going through records, even if they are well beyond the retention record, I am scanning most of them in. And I know that over in engineering, they've been working on this for a couple of years now, where they are also scanning a lot of things in. So we can't even just destroy. So a lot of records have a specification on it where before we destroy them, we have to notify the Wisconsin Historical Society and offer them to them. I actually did just do that recently with our older assessment rolls, and they agreed to take some of them. So I'm awaiting further instruction for them to come pick them up. But everything beyond that, then I offered the rest to the Caledonia Historical Society, and they agreed they want the rest. So wherever possible, some of them require us to do that, some do not require notification. But regardless, even if the Wisconsin Historical Society doesn't want them, I will first reach out to the Caledonia Historical Society and offer to them first.
I'm not actually asking anybody to go through that building in Gorney Park, but we do have records there, and it seems to me we ought to decide something about it. I mean, are we really just going to simply say they're unusable?
If I can come back to
Or
what my question was,
what?
if we look at this time schedule, does anyone, particularly on staff, have an issue with how much shorter the Wisconsin state schedule would be than what we have in existence?
I would not be.
Okay, that's,
And we can look at what files are in the Gorney Park. I mean, I have no idea. I know it's been mentioned a couple times, but
I'm not sure.
I
anyone does.
actually have never actually seen the files that are in there, and I don't know the state at which they're in. If there
Moldy.
is a,
It's
Ryan,
not,
I-
it's not good.
say that again.
It's not very good in that building. The last time I was in there, I would
hazard.
I would consider it a potential hazard for employees to be spending time in that building for more time than necessary. We'd have to go through a hazardous materials assessment
Right.
and that'd probably be step one. And then from there, provide you guys a recommendation and maybe repeat the whole police department demolition process. But that is neither here nor there at the moment because that is not what we are.
Right.
It's not, but I think we need to address it instead of just pretending it's not there.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for,
Oh, I have one question.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wishaw.
Just to make it quick. We did have records, Pete, we did have records at the county building for all of the planning and zoning. Refresh my memory, has that all been transferred out here now?
No, back in 2019, when I was hired, there was a decision made by the board at the time to not pay for the migration of all of the records that the county has
Yeah.
to the village, and that we would, since I did have a past working relationship with Racine County, that we would migrate them as on a as needed basis as developments were proposed. Brian Jensen, I think now is the main person in that department. I know that they were planning on getting rid of their hard copy files, and I've been waiting to see when they're ready to get rid of them. And then if they are, then we're going to have them transferred over here. But then we're going to have to find a space to sort them out. So from the last conversation I had with Racine County, they still have the files, and that they are in the process of going through their long-term records. So before they make a decision to dispose of them, I'm gonna ask for those those records to be transferred here to the village, and then we'll work with interns or part-time staff or whoever we can to digitize them and get them into our record files.
Okay, thanks, Pete.
It's great, because I think there are conditional uses, for example, that were granted that are not recorded, that are somewhere. There's hard copies of them somewhere. And if,
I'd like to make a motion, if that's true, that we move this ordinance to the full board.
There's a motion in it.
We have a motion
Right.
on the floor,
Let's vote.
which will move it to the board anyway. So there's a motion and a second on the board for destruction of records. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries and move to the board. Thank you, everybody. Interesting comments. B, ordinance under Title VII, Chapter 2, related to fermented malt beverages and intoxicating liquor, specifically Sections 5, license fees, 7, qualifications for applications and permissions, 20, premises and 33 operator license fees. Did you want to comment on all this good stuff?
Sure.
All right, thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, so this came about because we recently received an application for a special event that was to be held within the full parking lot of the establishment, which under our current ordinances is not allowed. The premise description for a liquor license per our ordinance cannot include the entirety of a parking lot. And a special event permit that is issued to an establishment that has a liquor license, that event has to take place within the original premise descriptions for that license. So this event is something that has been going on in the area for a long time. It's a really great charity event. This issue in our ordinance was not, I'm not sure if it was overlooked or what in the past, but we need to make it available in our ordinance to allow for this sort of event to take place in a parking lot. So a solution that Todd and I came up with, looking at other ordinances from around the area, a lot of other municipalities do allow for a temporary extension of a premise description. So that would be for the purposes of a special event. So just for the duration of that event, their premise description would be able to include a parking lot or even adjacent property, as long as they have permission from their property owner. And then as soon as the event is over, it would revert back to their original premise description. So it was kind of short notice, and with the issues we were having with the server, that's why I don't have copies of the ordinance or red lines yet. Me and Elaine have talked about it. I've shown her my drafts. So we will have something better for you to look at the next meeting. But that's kind of why
Allow me
we're,
to add,
absolutely.
that is expands into the parking lot, but the cars can't be there.
No, the
Has to be
cars are
fenced
actually,
off, that
will be
was-
parked somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so because there was a concern at some point about minors being,
Yeah.
Right, and
being
there are
able
some
to-
provisions in there too about the area needing to be cordoned off in some way so that it's clear to the patrons and the people working that this area, you must,
You can only drink
monitor
within
it.
the
This is where
boundaries,
people
yeah.
may have
It's
alcoholic
restricted.
beverages. Yes, it's a restricted area.
Okay, thanks.
So, if I have a motion to move this to the board, approve and move to the board, I'd appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to approve and move to the board ordinance under Title VII, Chapter 2.
Thank you, Nancy. Have a second?
A second.
And thank you very much. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I will be abstaining.
You will abstain. That's fine, Holly. Thank you. Then we'll move to the board. Thank you very much, everybody. Village of Wind Point 4-mile road utility and road rehabilitation
Ooh.
project. Mr.
So-
Schmidt, did you want to talk about this great subject?
I would love to talk about this great subject. Lee may be already familiar with a good portion of this. This is simply just an informational update to let you guys know that they have been in the process of a water main replacement project and therefore afterwards a road rehab. They're essentially going to pulverize that entire portion of 4-mile road between Main Street east to Lighthouse Drive after they go first and replace the water main and repair any other utilities as determined. Tony's been in the process, and that's why I included Tony's email or memorandum here that he presented to the utility district, which included all of the utility-related information that the village is going to be responsible for at this time. There is some additional information that he is working out with Wind Point and their consulting engineers on sanitary sewer and how it's related to our residents specifically along that stretch, and then and potentially Wind Point's in that circumstance. So that project is expected to go out for bid this fall and be constructed late fall, early winter. That is yet to be finalized. At the time of this report, I have no information as far as cost, specifically as far as any future road work or anything in the utility perspective to present to you. Simply that there are residents that are a part of the village that are impacted by this due to that dual jurisdictional zone of 4-mile road between Main Street and Birch Creek Lane and the subsequent cul-de-sac of Birch Creek Lane. So when the construction is happening, we'll have roughly 19 people who are directly adjacent to the work. And when the road is done, they'll be also impacted. So at this time, if you have any general questions, I can try to help, but this is mostly just informational and something coming down the pipeline that we'll have to accommodate the road reconstruction or rehab portion of the cost, as well separately the utility cost.
I have one question, and that is, would these 19 people, would there be an assessment against them, or this is not accessible?
This is not an assessable cost. This is I believe, a glorified resurfacing project. They're pulverizing the road and putting a new 4-inch lift of asphalt. They're going to widen the road to be to match the County Highway G section, which is essentially an 11-foot driving lane and a 4-foot paved shoulder to match what's existing there. So that's really the biggest impact to a few of our residents, is that there's going to be a driveway in the way of a culvert repair, so their driveway will get repaired just for the portion within the road right of way there. So, but again, at this time, I don't have any I don't have any costs. They were supposed to get that to me hopefully by this meeting, but here I am without any numbers.
So I have a question. I was looking at the total recommendation on here, and it's talking about televising the laterals and everything and replacing those 1966 pipes, which is probably a good idea. So would all those costs and the televising, are we suggesting we take that burden of the cost?
So Tony has presented that information to the utility district. So
Okay.
the utility district would take care of
The first look at it, got it.
village-owned utility responsible
Got it.
issues. And I believe some of that televising data had come back to Tony and has since reviewed it and is looking to present that to the consulting engineer for Wind Point to further discuss any impacts that it may have.
Okay, thanks.
Ryan, did you want a motion to move it to the village board, or?
This is simply informational for
Simply
you guys
information,
because
okay.
I don't know how much everybody has been
right.
informed of this. And I thought that before, it just all of a sudden is a road that's torn up, that you guys have at least some general knowledge and can speak somewhat intelligently on it, I guess. As much as I am
That's
presenting it to
pushing
you.
it.
When will works commence?
When are they starting it?
They, assuming everything is still on their anticipated schedule, they're looking for a late fall to winter utility construction and then probably a late summer to late fall road construction. But that could easily change because they have not bid the project yet.
Thank you. Okay, without talking about them, debating them, subjects for future meetings.
I have two.
Nancy, go ahead.
I'd like us to place on the discussion of the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Fall Conference about what's being offered in the tracks, who might attend.
Why does that need to be discussed by us?
Well, why wouldn't we discuss whether or not it's appropriate for any of us to attend or be trained?
I mean,
We don't have that information shared.
you want to know what's on the agenda?
No, discuss whether, one, what is on the agenda, what tracks are they offering, and whether or not we should be sending people to this.
I can send you an email. I can send that to you in email. I mean, what's on the agenda? It's out. I mean, I got the notification today.
Why don't you send it to all of us?
Yeah, I'll send it to all of you.
So, yeah, discussing whether we should attend. The second one is,
You can attend any meeting you want, Nancy. We don't need to have you don't need our permission to go to.
Maybe the
meetings.
question is where is it?
Some more.
In Milwaukee?
It's at the Baird Center. I think September 19th, 17th through the 19th.
don't we think it would be a good idea for board members to be aware and attend these things or have the option?
Yeah, I do.
This means that
I think we all
doesn't
are.
need to be discussed at the meeting, like we can-
Okay.
The second.
Second item.
The second item is I would like to see the board do a SWOT analysis on the village separate from what's being done in the subcommittee since we are the elected officials to represent people. SWOT, S-W-O-T, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
I agree with that because I don't, the whole idea that that hand-selected committee is going to do a SWOT analysis and that that's going to supposedly reflect the entire village is a little troubling to me. That's,
Okay, we can't talk about it,
Right.
but I mean.
No, we
what
can't
I-
talk
so-
about it.
So, do I have this correctly? You want on another future meeting, you want to discuss the SWOD?
Do a SWOT analysis by the board, period.
Board of.
Us,
the
You want a
same one
SWOT
that's,
analysis of what?
the village.
The whole village?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a formula for doing SWOTs. That's
Anybody
it.
else?
yeah, I do, based on previous discussion. I think we ought to have a discussion about what to do with that old building in Gorney Park that's full of boxes of moldy records. Because I really think we need to have a plan and do something about it.
Okay.
Whether
Anybody
it's
else?
salvageable, I mean, maybe we just have to decide. Somebody has to look at it, somebody has to decide is it salvageable or not.
We're discussing.
Maybe it's
now.
not,
We're
and if it's not, then we need to talk about what are we gonna do with it?
We're
Burn
discussing.
it down?
We're
Maybe
discussing.
the fire
now.
department would like to,
Excuse me, Fran.
shot at
Not
it.
discussing the subject. We're bringing up subjects. A fourth item? Anybody? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, wait a minute, there's.
Oh, I'm
There's
sorry.
the famous
Our famous
telecommunications. We're all ready.
Review
Let's just
teleconference policy.
Get it done.
Yeah, let's get it done this time. I'm so
Please.
sorry. Okay, we had, our staff, had a draft policy in front of us. Did you want to review it, Mr. Administrator, or do you,
So, I mean, it's been in your packet a couple of
Forever.
times now.
Yeah.
I think you guys probably have had enough time to read the staff report or memo. But when we initially met on this, there were a couple recommendations, and that was to update the policy to create a more concise delineation between the various types of uses. And then there was potentially update a policy to remove options of video conferencing public meetings that the village does not currently have the capability to perform until a later date. So we look to update the policy to identify and clearly explain when is it acceptable to use teleconferencing, i.e. vacations versus medical, and is there a limit to how many times in a row an individual can use the teleconferencing option? Are there specific types of items that should be excluded from being voted on by using teleconferencing, i.e. financial decisions, policy decisions? Other areas of considerations deemed appropriate by the Board of Trustees. You have the updated policy, which it does eliminate some of it. It really is more of the policy for teleconferencing and video conferencing. The village board or committee of the whole would be more in the case of an emergency, whether there's something similar to COVID, where you know, aren't able to conduct business in a singular location, or if there is a declared emergency of some sort. So that is, so what I did was kind of reorganize the policy related to that. And then there is also an ordinance, or a recommendation to amend ordinance section 2-3-9 related to the quorum, village board member absent, and participation by teleconferencing and video conferencing. It basically explains that village board members are expected to attend meetings in person, but if they're unable to, they can contact the village president, and that should happen about at, I think I have it listed as like 5 o'clock the Wednesday before the meeting if they know they're not going to be able to make the meeting. But then also that the village clerk will make every attempt to facilitate the request by contacting the member in a manner during the village board meeting that allows a member to participate in the proceedings. It was to be used, this section for no more than 2 or more meetings consecutively unless either of the following apply, and that's a member demonstrates in writing good cause as determined by the village president's sole discretion, or if the village president is the member requesting, the vice president or senior member, and then if a state of emergency is proclaimed by federal, state, and local authority, or adverse weather.
So, Todd, I know this before you came here, but before COVID, our policy was for trustees that we had to be here, knowing that some of us have other jobs or other opportunities and or vacations, and we're not always going to make every meeting. And that was the longstanding policy. And then during COVID, we flexed those rules so that we could call in and use Zoom and all that good stuff. But when we did that, we didn't set up a policy to put it back the way it was. So I'm certainly in favor of going back to, attendance is required, and if you can't make it, you can't make it. I don't know how do you guys feel?
I don't agree, because, this is 2025, not 1915. We have the capacity to do it. Why would we're elected by people to be a voice for those people that elected us. And so if someone can't be here because of illness, for example, this happened. I mean, Dale should not have had to come to leave the sickbed of his family members. Holly should not have had to not be able to come when she had surgery. If they can call in, we have the technology for phone calls. I just don't see why we wouldn't do that. But I want to point one other thing out, and that is I think I'm looking at the proposed current ones. The policy suggestion is kind of an all or nothing thing. When I look at that section 3 teleconference and video conference procedure, virtual, all board and committee members attend by teleconference or video conference without a meeting. But then when I look at the quorum, it's individuals could be excused. So I'm not sure how those mesh together either.
Well, so what I would say to your first comment is we have a limited capacity to handle that. The last time we had a board member that wasn't able to be here, our deputy clerk was holding a microphone over a computer that you couldn't really hear the member speaking on that side, and I think everything was delayed. So it's a very limited capacity of what we would be able to accommodate. It was an attempt to find some way that we could accommodate. It'd be less likely that we would use video because we don't have cameras in here, and it when it comes for a village trustee, village board, committee of the whole, there are going to be times where people are standing, either making public comment or coming before a alcohol license request. And the village board or trustee member needs to see the demeanor of that applicant or the individual speaking. And so there is a limited capacity of what I think we should consider or handle, because there is a level of being here that benefits, I think, the general public, but also the village
Obviously.
trustee.
I don't think this is a circumstance where we're going to just say, oh, I guess I'll just stay home and phone in. I'm talking about circumstances where people break a leg or whatever it is and can't be here, but are perfectly competent to take part in the discussion. And to me, it's depriving voters of that voice if we don't allow that person to call in. And I might point out that we have done it successfully for consultants. We've had our consultants where we have, I don't know what we do, put whatever up at the microphone, and we've had them appear by phone, and the entire board and the entire audience can hear them. So I'm not sure why it's easier to do it with consultants than it would be with a trustee.
Well, the consultant portion would be more of
We've done it.
monetary convenience, so you're not paying for travel or that time.
Well,
or
I don't have
anything
any
like that.
objection to that, but
But
the, my point is that the technology, that it worked, that they
Okay.
appeared that way, we could hear them and the audience could hear them. That's my
So
point.
the ordinance is more towards meetings.
Mm.
And that's going to be more of
meetings.
like, in general practice, trustees should be here.
Of course,
And I'm not
I agree.
disputing that all of you
But-
feel that way.
of course.
So that's what the level of the ordinance is. And that then there's now a process for somebody to, or for staff to accommodate if you're not able to make it. Not saying like your example, you break your leg. I mean, of course, I think if they reached out to the village president or whoever the acting village president is at that time, if it's Tom who breaks his leg, then they would reach out, and I don't think there's going to be any question as to whether or not we can be accommodating by telephone. Obviously not video, because we've just discussed that that's not really possible.
I mean, we don't have video, so I guess that's academic at this point. I guess one thing, and maybe I should have suggested it at the committee of the whole, that we look at whatever the expense. I have no idea how expensive.
I brought
it
that
would or
up.
would Not be.
A couple months
So
ago.
Holly has the floor, just a minute. go ahead.
But in agreement with Fran, I brought that up a couple months ago to look at it in our next year's budget for some sort of proper video conferencing setup, because I think we are behind the 8 ball on our technology. And I do think that our community, I mean, there's a member that said he's been here 10 years and has never come to a meeting. I was much like that too before I got on the board. And so I think video, at least audio to start, if we can, to broadcast it live for our community. I think that this policy works for now. I think this policy sets something up. It puts something in stone. It gives us at least some leeway if one of us has surgery or can't make it. And so I agree with what you have written here. But I also think on that next note that we should be looking into updating our technology in this building for our meetings.
And I wouldn't totally disagree with you. I mean, we have the money that's coming in from the juvenile detention center as far as money that's available. Why are we not looking? I agree with Holly. Why are we not looking at the technology? Our USD board has 8 cameras, I believe, in the room. Most communities, much smaller than us, live stream the meetings. There's no reason we aren't doing that, for the very reason that people can't often come. I will admit, when I read this thing, I was a little, not bemused, but that I'm an adult and I have to ask the board president's permission to do this. I don't think we need to have a permission slip
Not
if
permi-
we
not
can't
permission, it's
come.
Notification.
This
That's-
says in the discretion. It gives
Yeah,
you
it says at the
Tom. I think
discretion
it
of the
should
board
just
president. That's permission.
Take out the discretion.
So we've had in the previous discussion, we also had a comment that, well, maybe we would not show up because we're on vacation or whatever. We're all adults. We should be able to say, if we're going to accept this position and run for office, our intent is to be here or to participate as much as possible and not to make it difficult. I understand a lot of it is on the technology issue, so I think we need to address the technology issue first and figure out what is it going to take to upgrade our system, and how do we feel about that on an importance level?
Mr. Wishaw.
Well, I'm sorry, I guess I'll be the fly in the ointment here. And I'm going to be showing my age here, but I agree with Tom. I think I'm okay with live streaming this. I think that's a good idea. If a resident wants to view it from their home, that's their decision. I think we owe it to them, though, to be here in person in the event that they are in person, because I think there's something lost when you're not face to face. As I said, hold on, as I said at one of the meetings, and to Kevin Weingart's credit, when he was here, he stated something that I really agree with. He said, well, what happens if there's a really tough vote and you decide, well, you know, I'm sick tonight and I'm going to go sit at home. And I know we're adults. I'm sorry, Fran, it happens. It's human nature. It's human nature. I'm okay with the live streaming, but I'm with Tom. I think we should go back to something simple. To me, we're making this way too complicated. If you can't be here, you can't be here. I didn't ask Tom permission when I was at EAA a couple weeks ago. I just told him, Tom, I'm going to be gone.
Yeah.
That's life. You know, I make 95% of the meetings. If I miss a couple, I miss a couple. Because the technology is available to do it doesn't necessarily mean we should. And I absolutely should not do that in a closed session meeting, in my opinion.
I agree
And
with
the
you
other,
on closed
hold on,
sessions.
Fran, hold on. And the other thing, and this is on me, but when we were doing this through the COVID nonsense, the speakers on these things are terrible. I was missing half of the conversations, especially when people are talking over each other. Somebody be talking and somebody talk over, and then you hear nothing. In my opinion, go back to something simple. Be here in person. If you can't be here in person, such is life.
Dale, you haven't said a word.
No, I haven't.
Would you like to? Would you like to say a word?
I would like to say a word, maybe a couple words. I agree with Lee. I mean, I'm probably a lot older than you are, Lee.
Not much.
But that's beside the point. The technology we have today works okay. It's not the best, and live stream would be great. But first we gotta figure out how we're gonna afford something like that, and who we're gonna hire to run all the equipment. It's not a freebie. So I would agree with Lee.
And I do have one more comment. I'm sorry. I don't do social media. I don't do Facebook or any of that stuff because I hate the fact that people get on social media and send out this craziest, sometimes the nastiest stuff. That's easy to do when you're behind a keyboard.
Yep.
It's not easy to do when you're face to face. And I think there's a lot of value in being face to face on many issues. I think we lose a lot when we're not face to face. My opinion, I could be wrong.
I don't disagree with you at all. I don't disagree with you at all on when we can have discussion up here or anything. But I think, first of all, let's find out what the costs are that the technology would cost us to do. Can we afford it, and what parts of the technology are we willing to look at? I think I also stay with, we're responsible adults. We're going to be here, but if something happens, when Holly, I was the last person to ask for it. I admit I enjoyed looking at Norgie's shirt. That was all I saw for the whole thing, but still, it was okay. I agree absolutely. If it's a closed session item, the person who is away should not participate in the closed session discussions because we can't meet the legal requirements for this, call it security around it. But otherwise, I think we make use of it where it is. We're all going to die off because I bet I'm as old as you are too. If we're going to get into the age stuff, so we need to prepare this village for people who are younger than us, like Holly.
No, I took back. It was you. You know, just one last thing. Lee, the opposite of what you're saying is true. If someone wants to call in, they can't be there because they broke a leg or they did whatever, and they want to call in, that's the opposite of not wanting to be here if it's a difficult vote. It's saying that person wants to be here and ought to be able to be here. I'm saying in case of injury, and maybe we have to trust one another, not to just make up something and say, you know, the dog ate my homework or, you know, whatever. I think we're all adults. I don't think we ought to
don't argue. I
maximize
can't
our
argue.
ability to participate.
I think the occurrences of something like that happen are extremely rare, but whatever. I don't have a huge problem with it either way, but I've expressed my opinion and I'll leave it at that.
I have a proposal, though.
Hold on one second. So Fran, you're saying that, I know you have a granddaughter in California. Should you be able to go out to California and then call into the meeting?
No, I'm not talking about vacations. I'm talking about cases of illness.
Illness, okay, thank you. Holly, did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say, as much as I don't want to do this, but I agree that we don't have the methods right now that work very well. I would hate to lay this over, but I think we should have, no, but just wait. The reason being is I really think we should have the proper equipment in place before we have a policy that needs equipment to operate.
And find out what it would.
And
cost.
so I agree with the
Okay with that.
policy as it's written. I think it should be used in extenuating circumstances, but I think that we need to have the appropriate equipment to be able to enact this policy. And so can we lay it over only because we don't know what this type of policy would cost?
Well, at least
How many
better
times we
audio
labeled it?
equipment.
Well, this would be because we
1,
don't
2,
have
3.
all the facts.
We've laid it over 6 times.
Well, that's okay. We don't have all the information.
Why don't we say review teleconference policy pending cost of equipment to do it properly?
Equipment to do what, exactly?
Equipment to
I mean,
properly
how,
be
how,
able
how
to.
long out do you want me to estimate costs on file servers and everything else related to storing video, which is going to be longer than your typical.
I don't even necessarily
storage?
know if we need video, but audio would be nice.
Well,
Live
We
streaming
have
audio.
audio.
If we're
We-
going to do
we
live
put
streaming.
audio on our website already.
That's after though, isn't it?
We
It's
want the
after.
abil- we're
So I'm talking
talking-
about live, like the ability to call in. We need that technology.
As
So
we've
I don't
done with
know.
our attorney. As we've done when we allowed him to come and present information to the whole board and to the whole room by whatever.
But I think that was a phone with a microphone by it. We need to be able to have a speaker that broadcasts.
So are you asking for the public to be able to listen and also participate?
No, not the
No.
public, us, but it needs to be.
Well, on behalf of the public, if we're live streaming, they can listen and they can watch. They can't comment.
Yeah, well, they would watch. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But us, we need to not have a microphone held up to a cell phone on speakerphone if we're going
Correct.
to participate as board members actively, so that Lee doesn't have to worry about having to hear it through his. It needs to be appropriate. So that's what I'm saying. So if we have the policy, we should have the equipment that goes with the policy.
But I keep coming back to, we did it with Alan Markovitz.
What if we just
What-
remove
why don't we
video
use that?
conference and just do a teleconference policy? And
Okay.
That's
that-
fine. I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that, because we don't have the video stuff anyway. So let's just
But
look
it,
at.
the
I'm the
video,
one that wanted to go through it.
I think part of the video conference part was also, it's kind of like a policy related to being able to have, I don't know, like, when we did the website demo, Lee came and it was, a meeting virtually. That's ultimately was what I was looking at the teleconference and video policy kind of being, is like, if there's a need for, say it's a meeting with Sewer Pack and it's a question that is arised by a trustee, and it's going to be Sewer Pack and staff and the trustee, allowing you the ability to come in and utilize
Right.
those elements, not necessarily for meetings, which is why I wrote an ordinance related to whether you're going to be here or not, and then to provide telephone assistance through the ordinance to a trustee that's going to miss a meeting. Not necessarily the teleconference and video conference policy, but I can rewrite that in a way that is more of just a policy for use of telephone and video conferencing on the staff level. And we can incorporate that more for, like, if we're going to have meetings. But I would probably keep the ordinance that's in here as is, because it's really one of those things where if you're not going to be here, just let Tom and the village clerk know, and we'll try to accommodate you the best we can. Now, we can't necessarily do that right now, as you alluded,
Which I
because-
think is a little.
because it would be a phone and whatnot, up to
We
a
did it with Alan
microphone.
Markovitz.
But that was very hard to hear them. I remember there was issues.
Well, then let's suggest that we direct the staff to look for equipment that allows a telephone. I mean, I've been in meetings 25 years ago, with a gadget, whatever it was, in the middle of a conference room that everybody could hear on the phone and hear very well. So I don't think that's a technical difficulty, really.
Well, it's a technical difficulty if we're going to use a method that not everybody in attendance can hear, understand, or react to.
Well,
So-
I'm saying, I've been in
So, I
those
mean,
meetings where there was such a thing.
It's going to,
I
I
find
mean,
it
I'll
hard to
tell you right
believe.
now, it's going to be a hefty price tag. I doubt very many people are going to be interested in paying for it, but I will look and see what it takes to route
I'll go talk to the-
through our speaker system and everything else to be able to make those things accommodating. But I do know that there are a number of communities that used to do video and audio, and they are starting to move away from video because the cost of hosting and doing all of those things on your website does come at a premium eventually. So I'm happy to look at that, and I will bring this back at the next meeting.
But, we're talking about two things. Live streaming is one, and having someone participate by video is another. So let's separate those.
So we're gonna bring this back again.
Yep.
Thank you.
Without the video conferencing.
Because
Would
what
be
else
the-
would we talk about at the end
I
of
know.
every committee?
I'd like to thank our staff for continuing to work on this.
Yes, sir.
No, we'll just put it back on. We'll bring it back.
Without the video conferencing, basically.
Just,
I just would like to.
Make a motion to direct staff to, or
If you guys don't wanna do an official motion, that's fine, but I need something. for
to
the-
redirect staff to adjust the policy to take out video conferencing, correct, Todd?
and add costs.
But we all have laptops.
She needs a direction, so directing to take out video conferencing as part of the policy. And look into cost of audio
Yes,
conferencing.
correct.
Okay, that makes sense?
I guess, I don't know.
Well, with all that wonderful stuff, we stand adjourned. Thank you.